ready for this? It's showtime. Lights, fans, action. Oh yeah, we've got action. Faster, tougher, more ferocious. There's nothing like league. This is the Betfred Super League.
Got me here. It took a big chunk out of me. Bleeding. It's bleeding. Oh no, it's bleeding. The thing just ripped my ear off. What do you think?
Hello, happy new year, happy new season, happy birthday Stevo, happy birthday me. Yes, another year older, but still none the wiser. Welcome along to the first Eddie and Stevo, the podcast of 2025. And here we are again with the help and support of the game sponsors, Betfred. Thanks to them as always for that. This is the 5th year of our podcasts. Thanks to all of you out there as well for joining us during the course of each and every season. Now, as usual, at this time of the year, Stevo isn't shivering like the rest of us here in the UK, but he's back in his palatial home, 12,000 miles away in the tropical heat of Sydney, Australia, and he'll be joining us from there for the opening few weeks of this season. Stevo, good day. It's great that you're there. We're about to start the 30th Super League season. Doesn't time fly?
Certainly does. I've just had a look in the mirror, and time takes its toll as well. Yeah, look, it's fantastic. Betfred giving us the opportunity to voice our opinions. We know that a lot of people don't agree with them, but let's face it, that's our role, isn't it?
And to upset everybody along the way. That's what we've been doing for all of these years. Well, look, we're on the verge of a new season with the inevitable rule changes, Steve-O. The big one, a captain's challenge. Now, our mate Rod Studd will be delighted by this because he's been talking about this for years and years. Only one unsuccessful challenge will be allowed, and it can only be used when play is stopped by the referee's whistle. It's been in operation for quite a while in Australia, hasn't it? Has it been successful?
Yes and no, depending on which way the officials sort of say, well, that team's got it right or that team's got it wrong. Because on the field of play, you can't argue. It's set in concrete. You appealed, but you've lost. It's as simple as that. I'm just a little bit wary about the fact that it's every single season, Eddie. For so many years, we've had rule changes. It's as though our game is always wanting to try to not only make it better, but to make it more interesting for the viewers, the fans, etc. Sometimes it works. The 4-tackle rule worked. And then we changed it to 6. And then, of course, we had no pushing in the scrums. Was it a waste of time? They keep saying that if we've got 12 players in the middle of the park, it gives the 3/4 the opportunity to score sensational tries. Do you know the percentage of tries scored whilst the scrum is put down is very, very low indeed? Because the defences these days are so strong.
Well, that's true, but you know the one rule that is good is the fact that the corner post is now not in play. Players can dive from the field of play, touch the corner post, and still score those sensational tries. That's been a great change.
Oh, one of the best, without a doubt, one of the best.
One rule change I would like to have seen, Steve-O, is this no try on the field of play being handed up to the video referee. If the referee on the field has got a problem, whether he knows or he doesn't know, and that's a guess, it's a try. and then they've got to find 100% rule, 100% reason why the try can or cannot be allowed or disallowed. That seems a nonsense to me. I mean, Warrington, for instance, Hull KR last year in the playoff semi-final, denied a place at Old Trafford because of that very rule. You know, that should have been abandoned, I think, in my opinion. Just hand it up. I've got a doubt. Let me know what it is.
I agree. And I mean, it's a simple equation, isn't it? Take the pressure off the man with the whistle and let the people with all the video replays make the decision. So simple. But there again, that word, simple, sometimes sticks in the throat when it comes down to rugby league.
Well, it basically is a simple game. It is basically a very simple, easy to understand game. Rule change at the start of the season. Head contact last year, Steve. I remember that. I mean, it caused chaos for the first 5 or 6 weeks. Then they released all the problems and things got back to normal. I mean, the head contact rule remains the same for this year. Players must tackle shoulder or below. Do you think the players know the limitations now?
Yeah, of course they do. Whether the coaches do, I'm not right sure. Or should I say, they know the rule, but will they abide by that rule? And there's no way in the world you can sort of say that a coach is going to tell someone make an opposition player injured, etc. and so forth. Look, it's been going on like this for donkey's years, since 1895. There's little doubt that if you want a star player and you know that he's better than what you've got, if you can put that star player out of the equation, then you've got a better chance to win. Look, winning and losing, there's only one option as far as when you're in a professional game, when you're a player, where you're a coach, etc. and so forth. Will everybody abide by the rules? It's impossible. It is impossible to be able to tell everybody that we can't do this, we've got to stop it. And look, the people that are running the game, they're trying their best. And also, they've got on their back that there are people out there that want to sue the game of rugby league because of injuries that they had over the period of time when they played. So that's always in the back of their mind, in thinking that we want to try to clean the game up, which I think that they have, and they've tried. But when you're out on that paddock for 80 minutes and you are going 100%, it's not always intended. Sometimes it can be a mistake, but it's difficult. But I'm with you, Eddie. The referees don't get involved with, is it a try or no try? Just send it upstairs.
And let the video referee decide. Yeah, good.
Yep.
We're both on the same hymn sheet as far as that's concerned. There's other rule
That'll
changes.
make a change.
Yeah, well, you're right. There's other rule changes coming in. Rules on the green cards, which is the medical business. Goal line dropouts. A few new rules here about where and how play restarts, if I've read things correctly. And there'll now be here a difference on a kick chase between passive and active players in an offside position. There's quite a bit to take in, as usual, at the start of the season. People like us are going to have to rely on the commentators, knowing the rules inside out. Good luck with that, Steve-O. Hey, good luck with that.
Well, maybe that's why a lot of the fans are quite happy both you and I retired.
Well, we did have meetings, didn't we, at the start of every season with men like Steve Ganson, Greg McCallum, and they went through the rules that were coming in that afternoon or that evening. And, well, we looked at each other and we scratched our heads, didn't we? But we staggered through, I think. These lads have got to stagger through this year. Good on them.
But how many times have we had meetings? How many times have we said, and within 2-3 weeks of the season starting, oh, we can't have that. It's a bad mistake. We'll change it. So we change it. So we've got to change our mindset, etc. Look, it's difficult. And we're trying to ensure that our players are protected. And I appreciate that. But it's difficult to make sure it's 100%. It's virtually impossible to do that. But if we can get to 99%, then that'll do fine.
Just on that, I've read this week that apparently any court case that is coming from 177, I think it is now, 177 former players are asking for, some sort of judgment on their problems. That's going to be delayed for at least 3 years. So we've got a little bit of time before we come into the rough and ready as far as that decision is concerned. So let's just see how that goes on over the next 2 or 3 years. What do you make of the revamped Challenge Cup, Stevo, by the way? Super League clubs came in last weekend, all of them drawn away from home to amateur clubs, League One, Championship clubs. Attendance is generally for the visit of the big boys not that impressive, and absolutely catastrophic for Castleford. They're out of the Challenge Cup already, beaten by the Bradford Bulls.
Yeah, it's a situation. I applaud the Rugby League for at least trying to regain interest in. It's a fabulous competition. I think it's one of the best competitions in the entire world of sport, because a little bit like the FA Cup as well in soccer, in regards to the fact that, you get these sort of upsets. And the people who are trying to run our game, Eddie, they were looking for something different, as they always are, which I'm not against all that.
How do you feel about poor old Danny Maguire, his first job as a head coach at the Tigers, beaten pre-season friendlies, awful, they say, awful against Wakefield, and out of the cup now already, and they go to Hull Kingston Rovers on Friday, for goodness sake.
That is probably the best thing that's going to happen. Look, Maguire was an absolute hero, marvellous player. We've said it along, you look through the history of our game, that the most talented players don't often become talented coaches. I'm not saying that Maguire can't do it, but the one thing that hits you fair and square is when you come up against teams and you're not winning and the pressure's on. That's when you will determine whether you could be a coach or just a famous past player.
Well, they do say, don't they, that great players don't necessarily make great coaches. And there are one or two instances of that over the course of history.
Yeah, I mean, it's very difficult, because when you do an interview with one of the superstars in our game, and I can remember asking quite a few players, and I'd say, when the ball's coming out to you and you're on the wing or whatever, when do you make a decision as to what you're going to do when you get the ball? And 90% of them that said, I've no idea. Because it comes natural to them.
Yes. I think you're born with as a player, and that's it.
I mean, you go back to the World Rugby League try-scoring record, Brian Bevan. There's no way in the world you could tell Brian Bevan what to do. He was just, he's a miracle man.
Yeah, and he was sponsored by a very good bandage company as well, wasn't he? He was covered in bandages from head to foot. All the pictures I've seen of him,
Well, the poor thing about it is that he was bald very early in his life.
You know how that feels, don't you?
My word, but it wasn't early in my life. It was later. Look, Brian Bevan, I had the great pleasure of meeting Brian and all those sort of things later in his life. In fact, I can remember I looked after him when he came out to give for the first time, the Dahlia M Award for the Player of the Season. And they brought back Brian Bevan, which of course was, he is born an Australian. And it was just, it's so impressive, such a wonderful man. And on top of all that, not had he scored the most tries, which will never, ever be beaten, unless someone's going to play 65 years in a season or whatever, is he played the piano like a professional.
Did he?
Absolutely superb pianist.
Wow. That's something that not many people know, Stevo. So again, week one of our podcast, you've enlightened people around the world about the great Brian Bevan. Well done to you. Challenge Cup again, let's just say, Catalan, they had a difficult time at Halifax as well. 0-0 at half-time. They eventually won 14-0. At a big cost, though, Sam Tompkins, Stevo, we scratched our heads last year when he announced he was coming out of retirement in 2025, injured, and he now could be out for some time. I mean, that could be a huge cost for the Catalan Dragons.
Well, yeah, it's a huge blow, but I think that Sam should really, really take stock of it and say, well, I've had a great career. It surprised me when he came out of retirement in last year to help the side. That's the type of guy that he is. I find him exciting. He's great on television. But there's a time in a player's mind where you've got to say, that's it. I can't do it.
Well, he is 35. I suppose old Father Time catches up with every one of us, doesn't it?
Look at yourself in the mirror, young man.
I do every morning. I'm delighted when I wake up, if I'm honest. Warrington, Steve, also, they've had a shocking pre-season. They were beaten twice pre-season friendlies, Widnes and Lee. They prevailed in the Cup at Whitehaven. I mean, the Dragons and Warrington, they should go okay, shouldn't they? They should.
Yeah, of course they should. They've got good players, especially Warrington. Don't look too deep. Sam Burgess won't be pulling his hair out just because they haven't played all that well. It only counts, Eddie, when the season starts.
It does.
Not before.
It does, and it starts this weekend. And of course, this season, 2025, will go down in history as the year that Super League was played in Las Vegas, March the 1st, Warrington Wigan in Sin City. Now, I know that Sky are very keen for this to be a roaring success. Brian Carney's bags are packed. He's on his way for a full week of build-ups on the channel. But, Steve-O, is it a wise move, this? Is it? We hope it's going to be a fantastic success. But is it just a glorified publicity stunt, this?
It's hard to say because I do know that they lost money last season.
The NRL.
They went to Las Vegas, the NRL.
Yeah.
So financially, it probably wasn't the best thing. But that's the attitude of the NRL. The Australian way of life is, well, we'll make it better. And I think they are going to make it better because, they've brought over the English teams, which will add to it. And I was only looking that, of course, it's going to be played at the Allegiant Stadium. And I thought, I wonder how much it's going to cost the fans to get in. Now, the standard admission starts at $29.
That's not bad.
You can get in at $49, $99. The best seats, you can go up to $149, $239. So it's up to you if you want to sit in an exclusive seat. And look, this stadium is absolutely fantastic. But I'm thinking to myself, $29 isn't all that bad, is it?
No, it's good. Good value for money. It is. Trump, he's been invited to attend in Vegas by the NRL on March the 1st. I wonder if he'll go, Steve-O.
Well, I hope so. I mean, he is a guy that doesn't mess around, is it? I mean, whether you love him, hate him, like him or dislike him, I hope he turns up. And look, I'll put it this way. He's not shy. He's not a shy person, is he?
No, he isn't.
Listen, to get an opportunity to not only see the NRL at its best, but it's going to see Super League at its best as well. I'm just hoping that he does turn up. I think it's great. And talking of which, I watched the Super Bowl, Eddie. It was a bit one-sided, but of course it became the first winner of Super Bowl by an Australian who played in the winning side.
Really?
A bloke called Jordan Mailata. He played in the under-20s for South Sydney Rabbitohs. And one day, a friend said, look, you're 6'4" or 6'5" or something like that. Let's put him around about 17, 18 stone. And he just said to him, look, you should play a sport that fits your size. And that sport, would you believe, he thought, well, that's gridiron. That's, let's. And he took up an offer to go and trial in America. And on the weekend, he picked up a winner's medal. He signed a contract last year for £53.3 million, which I think was a little bit more than he was being paid in the South Sydney Rabbitohs under 20s.
I'm sure it was.
But typical of the press, the media here in Australia, is that there was a shall we say, a congratulations from South Sydney Rugby League Club, saying, well done, blah, blah, blah. But they more or less intimated that they were the reason why they built him up, etc. and so forth. When the real truth is that South Sydney sacked him, said he wasn't good enough. Well, the media here has gone bananas.
I bet
how on earth can you, South Sydney Club, have the cheek to suggest that you are the reason why this man has signed a $53 million contract, has won the Super Bowl, and they have just ripped South Sydney Rabbitohs apart?
I bet they have. Well, hey, don't let the truth.
Only the media can create things like that.
Don't let the truth get in the way of a good story, Stevo. Really, do not do that. Listen, we're nearly at the end of the show for this week. The runners and riders in the Super League at the starting post: Wigan, St Helens, will they emerge? Wigan hot favourites again. Leeds, Brad Arthur, can he turn them round? Hull Kingston Rovers, Cup finalists 2023, grand finalists last year, strong again. Hull, as we've said already, can't be much worse than last year. 9 new faces. Lee, always capable and good to watch. Wakefield, they've got money behind them now. 12 new faces. And Darryl Powell with a point to prove. We need to know, Stevo, what everyone wants to know is your tips for 2025, so we can all get our money running before the season gets underway against everybody that you're about to tip. Grand final winners, Stevo. Who are the champions of 2025? Come on.
It'll start with a team with a W.
Warrington, is it their year?
I think Wigan will be difficult to beat. Warrington certainly will play much better, and they played pretty well last season as well. But I just can't see anybody. Maybe on the outside, St Helens, but an up and down sort of, shall we say, in the past couple of years, a lot of their players had to be replaced by younger players. But I just can't go past Wigan. I mean, the way that Wigan are now handling everything in regards to the fan base, what they do for the society, the local charities, etc., and so forth. Success to me always comes from the backing from deep within the club. And quite frankly, I cannot see any other club getting anywhere near Wigan in all those departments.
OK, Wigan then will win the Championship. We know Castleford will not be winning the Challenge Cup. We know Wigan won all 4 competitions last year. Sadly, they won't be taking part in the World Club Challenge this year because they're going to be in Vegas. So they've only got 3 to go for. Legally the Shield, which I assume, as you fancy them as a grand final winners, you're going to give that them as well. They're not going to win the cup also, are they? You've got some dark horse for us, haven't you, for the Challenge Cup?
Well, I wouldn't call them dark horses, but I think it'll be between Warrington and St Helens.
Wow.
I really can't see an upset. In the back of my mind, Hulkingston Rovers, they'll want to change a few things. They've got good backing as well. They've got a good board of directors. They've also got good coaches. So I'd have to say, look, the Challenge Cup is something that can be, it's sudden death, so it could go one way or the other. But I've got to say that Warrington, St Helens, they've got to be favourites to win it. But Hulkingston Rovers, they'd like to go back and win at Wembley. Wouldn't we all?
Yeah, we would. Listen, it's great to be back with you for another season of the podcast. We'll keep all this and we'll just see at the end of the season, come next October, whether you've been right or wrong. You continue to slip, slap and slop, as they say in Australia, with the old sun block. Make sure when you come back, you don't come back totally sunburnt. And we'll talk again in a week's time if you're going to be around. You're not going off on a cruise, are you? You're going to stick about for this?
Well, unlike you, Eddie, I can't afford a cruise. I know you average 5 or 6 cruises.
No, bit more than that.
Well, okay. Well, but I've started to realise that you obviously got paid more money at Sky than I did.
Correct.
And that your pension must have been unbelievable.
Huge, but you can't touch it because you have to pay 40% on tax. Let's not go there. I'll talk to you again in 7 days' time. You keep counting the cost and get a cruise book, for goodness sake. Don't be so miserable. See you in a week.
Take care, top man.